Right, so on this part of the tutorial, we're looking at how to add a goalkeeper and add some instructions to animate it so it's moving along that goal line there. I think you've already seen the library options on the bottom left, so we're going to get our character from here. This character can be anyone you like. It could be a child. There are lots of different options there for children up to teenagers. I'm not sure a baby is a great option, but lots of adult options there, and these can all be modified with their properties, colors of their clothes, hair, etc. So have a look around, see what character you want to have as your goalkeeper. There are actually some more adventurous characters, an astronaut there, there's some chefs, and we're going into some historical characters at the end. So you may want to have a play around with these and choose a character that best fits your design. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to have a young boy or a girl. Let's see who you want. Well, let's put a little girl in there to start off with. And so I just place her in front of the goal line there. And then we can double click to change her name, and we're going to call her a keeper. And we're also going to do a couple more things here in terms of the settings. In this character, we're going to change, if you want to change the materials, you can do. We're going to change her physics, and we're going to change the fact that she can be a coded character. So we want to be able to move this character using some code. So we're going to click code and then click on the use in code blocks. Again, I'm going to explain this in a few minutes, so don't worry about this, just make sure that's turned on. The next thing we're going to do is turn on physics, because we do want to demonstrate Newton's law of when an object collides with another object. And so therefore we're going to turn on the physics here, and then we're just going to turn on the physics button to make sure it's active. I'm not going to go through these other settings here with precise collision and set static just for now, but I might want to add a little bit of mass to this character because we want it to behave almost similar to a real life human. So I'm just going to make her around 50 kilos. Add a little bit of friction there, that's already set up, so I don't need to adjust that very much. Perhaps a little bounciness just in case the ball hits. Again, you can play around with these parameters as you start to develop your model further. Okay, there we go. We've turned on the physics. We made sure that it's got a decent size of mass in kilograms. We turned a little bit of bounciness onto the surface area and a little bit of friction there. That's already been set up. So we've now created our goalkeeper, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move the goalkeeper to the one side of the goal just to begin with, because we're now going to code the goalkeeper. All right, you might want to scale her up a little bit. Let's do that so it looks a bit more likely that she can save a goal in the top corner. All right, so we've got our character now. This is our goalkeeper, and as you might have seen earlier, we turned on the coding block. So let's just reduce the menu size for the library, because we're now going to go into coding blocks. On the top right hand side of the screen, you'll see this block called code. I'm going to click on that tab. First thing you get asked is to whether to work in CoBlocks, which is block-based coding, or script. For these tutorials, we're just going to work with CoBlocks. I would recommend you don't switch to script until you're really confident with the programming and the syntax, which we're not going to do for this tutorial. So CoBlocks, click on that option, and it should set up with a new coding menu or a new coding interface. You've got your menu on the left here with various different blocks, which we'll come into in a few minutes. And then you've got your first set script here for this. Now, I'd suggest that we change the name of the first script so that we know that this code is just for our keeper. So you click on the arrow and then you change the name. So we know that this block code here, this script is just specifically for the keeper. And all we're going to do is it's already got one block to start us off. So when the play button is clicked, what we really want to do is have the keeper moving from left to right. So we're going to choose a control option, which is a loop. And we're going to use a forever loop here, just to make sure that this keeper continues to move from left to right throughout the whole simulation. Okay, just drag it in, click it into place, and it will come up with a number 2. The next event we're going to use, or the next block we're going to use, is to actually get the goalkeeper moving. So this is quite easy. We're going to transform, and then you can see the very first block is to move that particular object because we've got him selected. So we click move, drag that in, and put that inside the forever loop. Now you can see there are lots of different options to move. So if you want an object to be very precise in its movement, you can go into this option here. Again, you can move for a particular time period on a particular path. You can actually turn the characters around, etc. If you want to get more complex with this coding, you can actually go into physics mode here. And in physics blocks, you will see that you're actually able to push the keeper or an object with a specific velocity. All right, so you can actually push the object with a specific velocity. We will come back to use these when we look at the actual shooting part of the tutorial. But in this case, we just want the keeper moving left to right. So we'll stick to the transform. Now what we want to do is amend some of the properties of the code. So we want to move the keeper. We don't want the keeper to move forward. We'll have them move to the right for the first one. And if I remember correctly, we have about 3 meters across here. So we're going to change that parameter there to 3 meters. So 3 meters to the right, and let's leave that to 1 second. Now, every time you write a piece of code, it's always good to test it out and debug any errors before you write any more code. So let's have a look at testing this. Let's press play and see what happens. You might want to give it a second to load up. Okay. So we can see our goalkeeper has continued to move into the right-hand side of the screen. So she's going to continue to do that forever. So that's something we need to fix actually. Let's go back. Let's press the back arrow on the top left. Back to our simulation. Now I'm just going to give it a second to load the model back up. So be a bit patient with the model loads as it tries to render the model. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to move the keeper to the right, but then we want her to return after a second or so. So we're going to put a delay here. So let's do an event. And we want to use, so it's not an event, it's a control block, which is wait for a second. And then we're going to go back to transform and then move the keeper back to the left, so 3 meters to the left. And then we just want to use the control block again to wait a second before we repeat that instruction. So just to reiterate what's going on here, just to explain, so we've got forever, which is the loop which continues to make these codes work. We move the keeper to the right, we wait for a second, we move the keeper to the left, we wait for another second, and then it repeats those instructions again. Let's try this code now by pressing play. So we can see the keeper is moving, and she's moving continuously to the right and to the left, but it's not quite the full length of the goal. So I think it's around about halfway across. So I might increase the length of which she moves, which might be about 5 meters. So let's adjust that. And this is the importance of debugging your code, going back to test it and making sure you take out any errors or correct any mistakes before you start to make the next set of code. So let's change this to 5. And the same on the bottom one. And then test that out again. I think that's about right. We've got a little few centimeters left at the end, but I'm not too worried about that for this one. It might give the football player who's going to kick the ball a bit more of a chance. So there you have it. We've now programmed our keeper and our goalposts. So the next step is having a look at how we can move that ball to score a goal.